Good morning, everyone. This is day 10 in the October YouTube Pagan Vlog Challenge, and today's word is old. And this is Sasha. She is entertaining us today. Well, really scratching the crap out of my leg in my lap. All right, so I took a different take on this. I wanted to do something kind of fun because there's been a lot of serious, and I just kind of wanted to do something fun and kind of uplifting and entertaining and everything else. Now, I do want to say that I like story stuff. You know, I'm a writer. I told you guys this, but I like story stuff. I like myths. I like legends. I like, all of these creepy old things that, you can use in stories, in like nowadays stories to amplify a witch if you're creating a witch character, or to create some kind of prophecy or anything like that in a book that you're writing. I'm very fantasy based, very fiction based, very magically. I like the magical stuff. So I went and I looked up old wives' tales. Now, there's a lot of controversy. Like, I didn't even realize how much controversy. But I'm going to give you some stuff that I looked up. But first, I was going to tell you, like, there are things that, you grow up and you're told these things, and some of them you believe, and some of them as you grow up, you stop believing. I remember being, third or fourth grade, and, Friday the 13th was this uber scary thing, and black cats crossing your path. You don't want to. I was terrified of black cats. I was sure I was going to have bad luck. I remember being in my dad lived in a house. We lived in a house, a 2-story house, my mom and dad. And behind it was a trailer park. And so I had friends in the trailer park. So we would go to the trailer park, and there's lots of people who own black cats. So even if it looked partially black, like, me and my friends would not go anywhere near it. And then the whole breaking a mirror for 7 years, bad luck. Now, I'm not going to say whether or not I believe or don't believe in a lot of these things. Some of them I believe, some of them I don't. It's irrelevant. The point is that it's entertaining, and some of them are true, some of them are false, and stuff like that. But that's for everybody to decide for themselves and deal with on their own. And you can look up whatever you want for old wives' tales and decide what's true or false. I'm not going to do that for you. I'm just here to have fun with it. So, anyways, but the mirrors breaking for 7 years, bad luck, and the ladders. Even right now, I will avoid going under a ladder just automatically, or knock on wood. Totally. I totally do that. When I was looking at it though, knock on wood is interesting. I never looked up the history of it. And it dates back, according to one site that I was reading it on. And you guys, it's easy to look this up. If you just start looking up old wives' tale, you're going to run into all sorts of information, facts, fiction, all of it. But in one of them, the knock on wood was an older pagan tradition of like placing your hand on a tree, and it's supposedly, we believe, lots of people believe in the spirit of Mother Earth and gardening and trees and all this other stuff. So in the old days, they would put their hands on a tree to ask the spirit of the tree for protection, hence knock on wood, if you're worried about something bad happening, etc. And I still cross my fingers for good luck, I find a penny, pick it up. Don't step on a crack or you break your mama's bag. These are just ones that I grew up with. My mom didn't tell me any of these. These are schoolyard things, that happened here in town. Actually, I don't know if it is in any other town, but here in my town, in Casper, we had a thing when I was a teenager. If we went over railroad tracks, we had to kiss our fingers, put it on the windshield of the car, okay? And supposedly that would make it to where you would have positive relationships. Like, your relationships would go really well, love relationships. And then for good luck, if you didn't want anything bad to happen, because we have like most places, we have bridges, and the car highways are there, and you go underneath the bridge, or the cars are over the bridge. We would honk going through the bridges for good luck. And if it's a long bridge, you have to honk the entire time that you're going through the bridge. People still do it. I still see it all the time. I don't. But it is an interesting thing that happens. I'll have to ask my girls, like my oldest, because she does a lot of driving. I'll have to ask her if that is still like a teenage school thing. my youngest, I'm pretty sure she's almost 16, and there's a lot of I see a lot of the traditional superstitions coming in. Friday the 13th is really big still. Anyways, so to my list of things that I wanted to share with you because I looked them up. Okay, first, I wanted to tell you that I did try to look up and see if I could find the oldest old wives' tale ever. Okay, and that's really hard to do apparently. A lot of old wives' tales were passed down, mother, daughter, grandmother, daughter, stuff like that, via word of mouth. And the oldest recording of the actual wording of old wives' tales is actually Old Wives' Fables in the King James Version of the Bible in the Testament. I don't remember the exact I don't know if it's Luke 12 or, whatever. I do know that it was in 1611. So that's the first known written wording of old wives' tale, old wives' fable. Anyways, so then so I looked that up and I found out that, I did a bunch of research. I spent like 2 hours doing a bunch of research on this, and the closest I can find to the oldest old wives' tale is ancient Egyptian. It's an ancient Egyptian one for pregnancy. Isn't that weird? Like, pregnancy is a big thing. But of course, woman to woman, of course, pregnancy was a big deal. So, I get it. I get why that would be one of the oldest ones ever. Now, if you know of an older one, I'm all for it. Seriously, I am. But anyway, so ancient Egypt, they found some old writing. I guess there was a museum or something that actually bought a bunch of old Egyptian stuff in the 1930s, and they're now getting around to deciphering all of it. Now, the wording is actually not perfect, okay, the decipher of it. There's a lot of controversy on if it was wheat and barley or if it was 2 other kind of ingredients or whatever. But according to what I read, it's like the wheat and barley pregnancy test, basically. And it's not just the pregnancy test. You could tell if it's a boy or a girl based off wheat or barley. So basically what would happen is a woman who was supposedly pregnant would pee in a bag of barley and pee in a bag of wheat. And I don't know which one's which. I don't know if wheat's a boy and barley's a girl or the other way around. I don't know. But whichever one is, we'll say for reference, just for this video, just for sake of having it to say, we'll say wheat was a girl and barley was a boy, okay? So if the wheat started growing first, then the baby was going to be a girl. If the barley started growing first, then it would be a boy. If neither of them started growing, you weren't pregnant. Interesting, right? So that's old Egyptian. Did I say the word for the day was old? I hope I did. Day 10, old. Okay, I'm here, I promise. Anyways, then I looked up what's the most popular superstitions in the United States. Like, as close to right now as I could possibly get. Friday the 13th is the most popular. There are a ton of people who believe that Friday the 13th is bad. Really, really bad. But it is turning around. A lot more people are starting to see more luck in Friday the 13th, and I think that has to do a lot with the paganism coming back in, Wicca coming in stronger these days. But I'm not here to debate it, okay? Not here to debate it. I don't want to debate it. And then the second most popular one is spilling salt. If you spill some salt, you throw it over your left shoulder. And then the third most popular one is bad news comes in threes. Isn't that interesting? And I know that I do the whole bad news comes in threes. I do. My grandmother does bad news comes in threes. And we have this fascination with the number 3. We really do. Everything comes in threes. And, if it's 1, we don't really pay attention to it. If it's 2, maybe. If it's 3, we're suddenly like, oh, there must be something here. And it's our brains trying to find patterns. And scientifically proven, our brains, that's what we do. We try to find patterns. And in those patterns, we try to find meaning and all of that stuff. So now I wanted to share with you some of the other old wives' tales I found. It's not just in the United States. I found one I wanted to share from Turkey and one I wanted to share from Japan, and then I wanted to share one true one. Okay? All right. So the one from Turkey is at night, they believe that you don't chew gum. You do not chew gum at night because you're chewing on the flesh of the dead if it's dark out. Ew. That is really gross. That is disgusting. Apparently, somebody named Harry Oliver had wrote a book or something like that about it called Black Cats and Four-Leaf Clover. And it's about, I guess it's about Turkish superstitions and stuff like that. But I found that one interesting, and I thought you guys would too. And then the second one that I found really interesting is in Japan. And my guy, he did some time in Japan and stuff like that. And he told me they're really religious or superstitious people. So in Japan, if a hearse passes by you or you're walking in a graveyard, you tuck your thumbs into your pockets to hide them to protect your parents from death. And that's because the Japanese word for thumb means parent finger. Isn't that interesting? I think that's interesting. All right, so now for one true one, okay? Now I haven't tried it, but it's apparently true, is that putting a slice of bread in your mouth while you're cutting an onion keeps you from crying. Now, apparently, when you cut an onion, there's some weird synpropanethyl S oxide gas that gets released when you're actually chopping the onion. And if you put bread in your mouth and part of it's sticking out, it catches that gas so it doesn't go into your eyes and irritate your eyes, because it's that gas that irritates your eyes. So interesting, right? All right, so that is my old superstitions, old wives' tales. I like stuff like that. So if you have any that I have not, or that might be weird in where you live, something that other people may not have heard of, something that's just in your area that you know of, those kind of things, I would love to hear about it in the comments. Please tell me, because I find these fascinating. I find them fun. I find them engaging. I find them entertaining, and they spark so much creativity in so many ways. They do it in art. They do it in fiction. They do it in, real life, people to people. It's just, these are a tradition. Old wives' tales are a tradition that just keeps going. And it doesn't matter your age. You could be my grandma's age at 80, or, my little nephew at 5. The schoolyard talks about it. It's everywhere, these old wives' tales, and they're consistent. It's a consistent old thing in our lives. And people who are even atheists catch themselves doing old wives' tales. I mean, crossing fingers, believing in some kind of luck, bad luck, good luck, even, it just is a part of, I want to say culture, but it's more than that, because it goes into all cultures. It's an old, ancient thing that just exists in all of our lives in one way or another. Anyways, if you have any interesting ones, I really would like to hear about it. So here's my old for day 10 of the October YouTube Bacon Challenge. I hope you guys had fun listening to me. And again, thanks for watching.